One. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our little pregame show that we're doing tonight here at the Royse City Bulldog Stadium. We are live, and we got a game. It's going to rain. It's going to rain a long time. I'm Chris Pena, Rockwall County Game Day. We got the crew here. We even got a Heath Hawk with us. He's on our show weekly, Mr. Kevin Wingfield, Mr. James Branch, and Mr. Tanksley, Jason.
It's been a long week.
It's been a long week. Gentlemen, how we doing? We got some football. We got a big game. We got Heath, Royse City. You see the helmets there. It's a big game. We're in week 10, and we're still playing for something, and that's a good thing. Of course, the Bulldogs, they have secured a playoff spot. Heath can secure a playoff spot tonight with a win or with a Rockwall win over Mesquite. But some things are in play here for Heath as well, because they really want to win this one. They don't want to get in because of Rockwall, because the number one seed in D2 is up for grabs. And tonight, that's on the line for Royse City and Heath. If Royse City can win, Royse City's going to grab that number one seed in 10-6A Division 2. And Heath then would be playing to, if, of course, the Rockwall wins, they're in, but they're going to get that second seed. And if things don't go their way for Rockwall tonight and Mesquite wins, then they're going to play North Forney next week to try to get in the playoffs.
All marbles.
We got it's senior night. So I know we got a show that's going to last probably about 35 minutes or so. So that Mr. Branch, his son Harper Branch, is senior night. They got some festivities that are going to go on. Hopefully the rain will hold off just a little bit for that, but it's going to be a long night, I think, guys. As long as the thunder, like the lightning, stays away and we get some showers, they're going to play on. Gentlemen, let's hear about it. Let's talk about this game. I posted that matchup today, so if you're going to see the big difference on the season, both teams come in at 5-3. Royse City with over 2,300 rushing yards on the year. Heath comes in with over 1,700, passing 1,500, over 1,500 yards for Royse City Bulldogs, and over 1,300 for the Heath Hawks. I think the turnovers is going to be key tonight. I think this is going to be a close game. You know, the team that's going to make some turnovers late in this fourth quarter is the team that's going to come on top. This year, right now, Royse City comes in with 18 defensive takeaways, and Heath comes in with 16. On the offensive side of the ball, Heath's turned it over 12 times. Royse City's turned it over 9 times. As far as how they've scored points over the year and you know what they've been able to do, what they're giving up. Royse City comes in tonight. They've scored 299 points on the year. They've given up 284. Heath has scored 233, and they've given up 245. They played some close games that's kind of balanced this out. We'll start with you, Kevin. You know, this is a big night for the Hawks. You know, we talked about this being, from the very get-go, this being Rockwall and Heath's district. Horn has kind of taken that second spot. It didn't really matter, I guess, in the grand scheme of things, right? The 4 teams that get in, because the way it works out with big school and small school, Heath was going to drop down into that small school with Horn being in. But it's important that, you know, they're going to want that number one seed, and that's what they're playing for tonight.
Well, yeah, and you know, we want to win the game. We don't want to backdoor into anything. So, you know, disappointing. I was disappointed last week, mad, upset, a few other words that we can't say on the radio because some kids might be listening. But, you know, we had it in the palm of our hands last week, and it just, well, I can't say because I'd like my kid to continue to play. So, anyway, we're going to go out here tonight, and James and I have been talking about this game since day one.
Yep.
We've talked about it this week. Heck, we talked about it on the way over here. If it's going to come down to it tonight, this is the team that I'd rather play. This is going to be one of those fun games. You know a bunch of the players know each other. I haven't seen a whole lot of jabbering back and forth all week, which that shows respect on both sides. I think we're very, very evenly matched. Just off the stats that Chris gave us, I was looking at it, and I think our defense and your defense is playing well right now. Mm-hmm. Our offense struggled last week. Our offensive line, they were put to the test last week, and it cost us a little bit there at the end. So I think we're going to have a good game. Weather, you know, barring we get any bad weather, I think there's going to be turnovers tonight. I think the wet ball factor is going to come into play, and it's going to be whoever has the least amount of turnovers probably going to be the team that comes out on top.
If you look back to that game last week, the 25-14 loss to Mesquite Horn, that score was kind of – it doesn't really talk, say much about the game because, Heath has the lead in the fourth quarter, and just things just kind of got out of hand in a hurry. And of course, a late touchdown really didn't matter for Mesquite Horn because Heath was trying to do some things to get the ball in the end zone. But it did not go the Hawks' way, and they're in the position they're in. That said, they can still get it done tonight, and they can still again make something happen in the playoffs, win a game or two, and then you've kind of everything kind of salvages and everybody takes a deep breath and they move on. James, for the Bulldogs, we expected. I picked them to be in the playoffs, and a few of us did. We thought that was one of the teams based off the returning and the coach and just the years that they've had leading into it. We thought it was a perfect year for them to come into 6A. They've done what they had to do. They beat the teams that they had to beat, and now they're in this position to try and get that number one seed. The key tonight's got to be Sam Mitchum and just running the ball.
Yeah, and look, let me start off by saying, I'm so glad that we're all in this position. The professor and all of us, Jason and Kevin's here with us on air tonight.
Yeah, Mr. Brandon Neighbors is on the side here. He's going to join us here shortly, but yeah.
But, we have been looking forward to this game, man, and we have developed a relationship over the season and our kids, and so I am super excited to be here with you and playing tonight. I think we are going to have one hell of a football game, and we're going to hear some clanging and banging tonight.
I think so.
Because, the ball's going to be slippery. It's going to be wet. And the key is Kenny and Sam. And, look, we've got more weapons than just them. And so we're going to see how it all plays out. It's not raining right now, but the weather is going to come back in. So, this will be the first time we played on this new field in the rain. Right. So we don't really know how that's going to, work out for us. We'll see. We haven't had any rain at all since this field's been down.
Right.
So, it'll be real interesting to see how this plays out. And I'm looking forward. At the beginning of the year, I wasn't real sure, but now as we've come down to the end, dude, this is an exciting game.
Yeah,
and we're pretty evenly matched, probably as evenly matched as we were. And, and we've talked all week about, which team's going to show up for the Hawks, which one's going to show up for the Bulldogs, who's going to, and then talking to you about practice and the seriousness, and then I've been at practice a couple days this week, and it's been pretty chippy, and everybody's been pretty serious. So, and just what you said, I haven't heard any discussion on social media this week at all.
No, and it's always fun when you get to this part of the season because whenever you have these big games like this, it's always more entertaining whenever there's actually something on the line.
Yep. Yes, and there's a lot on the line.
Everybody's playing for a reason. It's just not, okay, we got 2 games left, let's just kick back and relax and just coast into playoffs. No. People in Week 10, there's a lot of teams that are already in that position. But for Royce City and for Heath tonight, this is, hey, all the marbles are on the table. Let's go out there. Let's compete. We're going in for a number 1 spot.
Yeah, I think this is a big deal. We all predicted the 4 teams that are lined up to go in the playoffs.
Yes.
The arrangement of the placement, went back and forth a little bit. But, look, Heath's still playing. I firmly believe you guys are going to get in either tonight or next week, one way or the other. I think you're going to the playoffs. I don't think we anticipated being able to have an opportunity to be the number 1 seed. I don't know that anybody really anticipated that. So, the Bulldogs have something. They believe they have something to come out and prove tonight. And, I believe they're ready. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's back on the field that can be healthy.
Well, not everybody's healthy.
Well, and that's why I went back and prefaced it with that it's supposed to be healthy. But look, I think we're gonna find out, and I think, like I said, I think if you want to watch a good game tonight, this is going to be a good one to watch, I believe.
Yeah, one other thing you got to look at is we got a lot of wind. Yep. We're going to have wet ball. How's your kicking game going to run?
Yep.
I mean, field position on punts, extra points could be key tonight. We lost our kicker. We lost our kicker to an ACL. Come on, man. We have 4 ACL guys out right now.
No, it's going to be extremely important. The special teams, that's going to play a big part. Every single point, every single drive, everything is going to be on the line tonight, and it's going to be really fun to watch. Again, this is the first time I think Heath has ever visited Royce City, to my knowledge. I think this is the first matchup.
Time I've ever known about it.
The first
well,
matchup.
they played one other time back in, I think, and I believe it was on a senior night, and it was raining and it was cold. And I think they went into
Well, y'all
three.
got it. Y'all scheduled that well, don't you?
I think they went in. Hey, on that game, I think they went into 2 or 3 overtimes. Your boy was probably playing Brandon back in those years, maybe not. When they played Heath, it was raining senior night, and 2 or 3 overtimes in that game. And
maybe whenever T was a lot younger, but I know it wasn't like senior year.
No, it wasn't senior year. But so they have played one other time, and under the same conditions, and it was a wild one. So. Hey, it's going to be fun tonight, and I'm excited to see the two teams go out there and play. I think this is the big.
Yeah.
My question is to all of us, at the end of the day, we've lost people early. We've lost offensive linemen. I'd say probably our best offensive lineman, right? It'd be like them losing Cash, right?
Brandon, I got a headset for you over here if you want to come on over.
We lost.
Brandon's got some good insight here, and we're again when we talk about Heath running Tuzno, Davenport, Snyder, they got 3 guys that they're going to come in and run the ball.
Yes,
it's going to be very, very important for Heath to have all those guys, and then to have Caleb to take care of the ball. Brandon, what were you saying on your points there?
I was just saying we've lost some people early. I feel like Heath lost some people all the way through the season, but I mean we lost a really good strong safety early to an ACL, and he's been out. That's Woods. He'd been the senior leader of our defense, essentially, right? And then we lose our center, which was the senior lead, not senior, junior leader of our entire offensive line, right? And I mean, we've had multiple. Your boy went down 3 weeks ago?
He went out right at the break, right at the bye week.
One of our starting receivers, and so it's battle of attrition when you get to the playoffs, right? Or when you get to the end of the year when things really start counting. And I really look to see who's going to step up on both sides. Like I've looked at some of the new guys coming in from Heath, also some of our new guys they're starting to step up from Royce City, and I feel like they're the ones that's going to play a pretty big factor because in a game like this, hands are cold, ball is wet. Like you said, there's going to be some turnovers. A lot of people attribute that to it's wet, but it's also because your hands are cold.
Right.
When you play football out there in that wind and your hands get to freezing, you really might not catch the ball you're supposed to catch. You catch and you kind of tuck instead of keeping high and tight. So there's going to be some balls that come out and go loose. The other thing is, and I don't know how much insight you can give here because I might be digging a little too deep, but there's been a little bit of controversy on the Heath side with a quarterback, right? Early on, quarterback came in, he went out. Another quarterback that last year was an H-back, also a pretty good linebacker in Hoover because his older brother's a big-time player. Now he's the guy, and the quarterback that was there left. What that does to a team overall, right? Not specifically because of the kid. I mean, just there was a situation. And sometimes kids can rally around that, and sometimes they melt from it. Well, and I look to see kind of what's going to happen there because you got to figure yourself out.
I think after the Denton game, when they finally said, okay, Caleb, here you go. The reins are yours.
Yeah.
That was when everybody said, all right, this is where we're going to go. This is it. This is our leader.
Finally,
this is who we have to go around. Yeah, in the scrimmage games, in practices, my son being a receiver, that was his biggest gripe. I want to know who's going to be throwing me the ball. I don't care if it's Colin. I don't care if it's Hoover. I don't care if it's somebody off the street. But I want to know who's going to be throwing me the ball so I can get my reps with them. They can learn my cuts. They can learn where I'm at. They can start trusting me, and I can start trusting them. I think that has been taken care of. Now, Hoover's had a couple of bad games, but he's had a couple of good games too.
Oh, yeah.
It's just he's still learning.
The thing is, when you're trying out quarterbacks that late in the season, because in my opinion, I'm not a coach, obviously, right? That's why I'm behind this desk.
Right.
But when you have a quarterback tryout that goes that far into the season,
exactly,
you have received just because both kids throw the ball well. Because I actually thought both kids threw the ball well.
Yes,
they still have different timing mechanisms. One
right.
had a little bit shorter throwing motion. One had a longer throwing motion. Right. One used hips a lot. One was all upper body. And when you, as a receiver, you're getting a different type of spin on the ball, different locations. So the one guy I thought was good at a back shoulder fade. The other guy's just a bullet chunker all the time, and you have to get used to that. So I feel like that if they kind of catch hold of their guy now, which is going to be Hoover, that could be a key for sure.
Well, one of the things too for the Hawks is when they've had games that they've just haven't things it just left a bad taste in your mouth. They've responded pretty well. They've come out after the Denton Geyer game, after the Rockwall game.
Yes.
And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens tonight, how they come out and respond after a game. And listen, last week was the penalties for both teams were well over 100 yards, approaching 150, 160 yards in penalties. And you can't win like that. You can't win when you're turning the ball over.
Nope.
And that's exactly what happened to Heath late. And the penalties just kept coming. It's going to be a long, physical game. It's going to be important for the kids to keep their cool and not get these 15-yard personal penalties, because those stack up and they kill you. And there's been a few
early
of
in
them.
downs. Especially early in downs.
And
One of the things is don't play behind the sticks.
We talked about it. Mesquite Horn, good club, but boy, they are chirpy. They are chirpy. Yeah. And what you got to do, and I know these kids are 16, 17 years old, but just because somebody comes up and tells you that you're a piece of crap, well, are you? Right. You got to let it go, and you got to go play the ball game, and you got to quit letting people get in your head. And I think that's what happened last week. We got a little chirpy, they got a little chirpy, and then it just – we took the chirp way too far.
And I don't want to say
243 yards between both teams is what Gary Oldfield just said. I mean,
you're not going to win ball games with that kind of with penalties like that.
I don't want to say this, and then I'm going to say it, so it doesn't really matter. I guess we'll get some feedback from it. But at the end of the day, Mesquite is that type of game. I mean, they're that type of team. They're going to talk. That's who they are.
Oh, yeah, that's who they are.
Heath is not that type of team per se. So when you get into the other man's game, that affects your game.
Yes.
And I feel like that is what happened. And I want to see how they respond, because there's two things that happen when stuff like that occurs. You're up the entire game and you get that many points scored on you in the fourth quarter and you score nothing. That sits somewhere deep inside you as a player. So now you're in the locker room reviewing film, but are you going to use that now as a motivator to come out and be better this week? Or are we all down on each other because we dropped the ball last week? And that's what I look to come out. I think if Heath has a fast start, it could be tough. But I think if we get out front first, it could be another – you know how teams get into that, God, it's happening to us.
Right.
They got
it's a quicksand.
Right.
Well, I will say this, and the one thing Kevin and I were talking about earlier in the week is again, not a lot of social media back and forth, and then not a lot of –
The bar stool was active.
Well, the bar stool is always –
that's always
bar stool is always
I'm
active.
not going to say what was said there.
I saw some of it.
But back in, for the most part, it's been pretty quiet. The teams have been just coming out, practicing, doing their thing. And so, I am super excited to see how these two teams play each other, because very evenly matched when you look at the stats, when you look at the sizes of the kids. There's not one that's overpowering the other. Everybody is pretty evenly matched. And
I'm looking forward to seeing Harper. I mean, you guys have came out and watched. You've been in the end zones with me watching a couple of the games.
Harper's going to see a lot of Mr. Wingfield tonight.
And I'm hoping to see him. So
we've been looking forward.
They may just be talking, but the wind blowing. You may just see them saying hi to each other.
Let me make this point too. I mean, about this Heath. It was all for the Heathhawks. It was going to be a tough year, because the Heathhawks don't want to ever talk about rebuilding. But listen, you cannot ignore the amount of players that they lost, Division I players that they lost,
without a doubt.
and their coaching. For them to have all that adversity, the quarterback, everything else, and they still have everything in front of them right now to have an opportunity to take a number 1 seed and go into the playoffs. I think it says they've done a pretty good job. I know there's a lot of room for improvement there, but maybe that's the growing pains that had to go through this year. And you never know what's going to happen in the playoffs. Some weird things happen. You play indoors. Caleb feels good throwing the ball indoors. They hit the running game. There's some injuries. You never know what's going to happen. My point is that they've had a lot of adversity coming in, a lot of questions because of some players that are taking over some spots, and they find themselves in this position.
Right.
So you never know what happens. I want to say something real quick. I gotta give a shout out to Vice Henley and Dillbeck, who is our pregame show sponsor.
We got Dillbeck in there, baby.
We got them in there, and then we'll do a halftime show again. So I appreciate them sponsoring our show. Some points. I know we got to go pretty quick. So some final points here.
I mean, I got a question for you, because if you weren't here, I would have said that I feel like we got a better running game. But knowing that we both watched each other's tapes and tried to figure everything out, what do you feel like defensively you guys are going to be able to do to stop? I mean, we got a pretty prolific little runner.
Right.
In general, what do you think you guys are going to do? Something?
I'm hoping we change and we stack the box a little bit more because last week we got beat on the outside. We were fine in the middle, but if you can stack the box and stop them there, well, where are they going to go? Now we got to figure out how to get those safeties up. Your corners are going to have to learn to break off those routes and get up there and help out. That's it. We got to tackle. The tackling has been horrendous. Now I'll take back on that part. Our defense kept us in that game. They may have scored 25 points last week, but our defense, they worked their tails off. And when you have as many 3-and-outs as we did, those kids weren't even getting a break before you heard Coach calling punt. That's not going to work.
You wonder if they might if they could show like a 4-man front and keep those safeties like about 8 yards off the box. Kind of ask them to pass the ball. As far as the Heath defense, see if they can get Roy City to want to throw the ball because of that. But they're going to have to do something to.
But I think a lot of it's going to be dependent upon which way you're going on the field too. Because if you're with that north wind coming in as hard as it is,
yes, sir.
If you're throwing into the wind, that's going to dictate your play calling a lot.
That was exactly what we went up again last week.
Is that you got to take into consideration? Yeah, it's not raining right now, so you might have maybe a quarter, maybe 2 quarters of dry football. Who's going to get out early? Who's going to pull out and get on the board quick and early?
Well,
and then playing for the second half.
Something I said kind of tongue-in-cheek, but I hope it to be real tonight, is we got called out on Barstool saying we're a bunch of hillbillies over here, right? but here's the deal. A hillbilly isn't a bad word, right? I'm not going to get in trouble here. Bison Henley and they aren't going to call me. But at the end of the day, maybe our hillbilly style will be better off in the rain. Like we are a little rougher-neck. We are – a little more country out this way, even though it's 8 miles down, and maybe that helps us out being hillbilly.
I think the key to the game is the team that can handle the environment the best and make the fewest mistakes.
Yes, yeah.
I think is what is going to win the game, and we're going to find out pretty early in the game, first couple of series, who's slipping and sliding, who's having a hard time getting the RPOs off, and who can pass that ball. So we're going to find out. Within the first 10 minutes.
Is Roy City ready to take the next step and grab that number 1 seed and make a statement this year in their first year in 6A? Is Heath ready to make a statement on coming back after a tough week and take control of the district as far as Division II goes and get that number 1 seed? We're going to find out shortly. The rain has held off so far. Maybe we get lucky. Maybe there's some pockets. But, again, it's a big night. It's senior night. There's a lot more people here early than I thought. There's a lot of people out there, so it's going to be fun. Gentlemen, final parting words. I think we got to go. I'm going to let him get over. I know he's got to get over to do his duties out there on the field.
Hey, man, I'm so excited. Thank you for being here with us, man. I've been looking forward to our kids playing all season long.
We're still going to get the picture after the game if it's not pouring down rain.
Absolutely.
Try to keep Shannon Rodden under control over there. He's a little,
Hey, it's senior night. These boys are going to walk across the field for the last time, and a lot of them we've seen play since they were in kindergarten. Right. Mitchum and Punceva have played together since kindergarten.
Right.
Well, you win tonight, and you might get a home game, so you might get one more. So
that's it.
We'll see what happens. Okay, that's going to do it for us. I know Brandon and Jason go up and call. I'll be up there as well. I'll be just kind of flip-flopping back and forth. Guys, have a good game. We'll see you on the field. We'll be back here at halftime. We'll kind of let you guys know what we saw out there, and come on out. It's cold. Just grab some rain gear.
Blanket. Come on.
So support. This is going to be a really big night. It's going to be a fun football game. We'll see you at halftime. Thanks for tuning in.
Let's go Bulldogs.
Go Hawks. Win the day.
Dak over Romo.